Hello and welcome to the show. Sorry about the noise in the background. That's just a call to prayer in the neighborhood. Today on the podcast, we're going to go back on how to overcome the fear of selling. If you're new to the show and this is your first time listening, then you should listen to the older episodes. Well, not that much old. Just skip back 4 episodes. The first you should listen to is Kiss Rejection Goodbye. The second is From Confused to Confident, and the third is Beyond Introvert and Extrovert. So these are the episodes that are going to provide the backdrop to the conversations that we've been having over here on the podcast on being afraid to sell. So, well, not just being afraid to sell, but also to cover situations that are potentially socially awkward, like when people are networking or you're out meeting new people and they are strangers. So, if you listen to the episodes that I mentioned, again, that's Kiss Rejection Goodbye, From Confused to Confident, and Beyond Introvert, we're going to go through all the personality tropes that we debunked, and then also how your fears are nothing unique to you, and why you shouldn't be afraid of selling. But of course, it's not that simple to just, how will I say, diagnose what the problem is without telling you what the way forward is. Now, of course, if you listen to the episodes that I mentioned, you're going to find out that ultimately, what we need to do to be afraid of, or rather to stop the fear of selling, is to have a well thought out selling framework that we can do consistently over and over again. But until we get to that point, there are a few things that we have to consider to get our mind right to stop us from being afraid of selling. Number one, we have to realize that nothing happens until a sale is made. There's not going to be any business growth. You're not going to be able to pay for any holidays. Now, for those of us in Nigeria, we know that that's a big deal. I mean, think about it. You're based in Abuja, you're married, you have a husband or a wife, you have 3 or 4 kids. Let's say you live in Abuja and your in laws live in Lagos, or the other way around. You live in Lagos and maybe your in laws are in Abuja, and then you think about the cost of flying or going by road. It's not really tenable anymore these days because I think the last time I did that trip was about a 16 or 18-hour trip by road. That's from Abuja to Lagos. So you are thinking airfare, and then of course for your own ticket, it's going to be maybe 60 something grand going and coming. So for you, that's about 120, 130k. For wifey, that's about 120, 130k. For the kids, especially if your kids are not babies anymore, they're not 2 or 3, you're going to be paying the full price. So if you look at that, you see that easily. Just traveling around, simple things, going back to the village, going to go and see in-laws, going to go and see grandma, easily in today's day and age, in today's economy in Nigeria, traveling home, these sorts of trips, that's easily like 500 grand and above. That's like half a mil. That's a lot of money. So nothing's going to happen until you make that sale because you're not going to have money for the holidays. Of course, you also need money for school fees, to put fuel in the car, internet, you have to pay the house rent. All of that depend on your ability to make a sale. Now, even if you look at things on a macroeconomic front, nothing is going to happen if people do not sell. Think about it. You go to the hospital, you speak to the doctor, you have your medicine at the pharmacy. If you need to do surgery, all the chemicals, all the reagents, everything is there, and all the not scaffolding. What do you call those things? The things that you use to slash and to cut and to sew and all those things. Everything is there. The reason why all that is there is because behind the doctors and behind the pharmacies and everything, there's this industrial complex of medical sales. People who are selling pharmaceuticals, people who are selling machines, people who are selling operating equipment, people who are selling all kinds of things. So, the wonderful Medicare that you get at your local hospital, whether you get it in Nigeria or you travel abroad, is only possible because there's a complex of medical sales behind it. It's the same thing when it comes to infrastructure, spending, government contracts, things like that. They are specialists, contractors, what else? People who deal in procurement, all of that is essentially selling. That's the reason why you're able to enjoy the power that you have in the neighborhood or the good roads that you have, or lack of good roads anyway, depending on which part of the country you're listening to this podcast from. So there is a whole complex of sales and procurement and contracting that is behind it. So if people don't sell, things don't get moving. It's the same thing with agriculture. You go to the market, there's tomato, there's rice, there's the chicken, there's catfish, there's everything. All these selling activities, all of these things, the goods and services that get to the market, they depend on selling activities that move the value chain forward. So it's because somebody had to travel to the village, to Benue State or to Taraba or wherever to buy the yams. Of course, buying the yams, that involves quite a bit of haggling and negotiation. The farmer has to sell. You have to contract the lorry person to get the goods to Lagos or to Abuja. And along that value chain, there's lots of buying and selling that is going on. So, whichever way that you look at it, whether we're going to talk about the economy in general, or whether you're going to talk about the economy, your personal economy in your own house, nothing is going to happen unless a sale is made. So that's the reason why you should be proud. You shouldn't feel less than because you are a salesperson. And by the way, most of us, or rather all of us who are business owners or self-employed people, we are all sales professionals. If you don't agree, don't worry. I'll make another episode where we tackle that so that we can speak with our full chest and acknowledge who we rightly are. Now, these ideas that I'm saying about how essential sales and selling is not new. You can go back as far as Brian Tracy, Grant Cardone, Tom Hopkins. Okay, well, let's say Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy because Grant Cardone is relatively younger than the other two. I think Brian Tracy is 80 something or almost 90 something right now. Anyway, so these are really old ideas. It's nothing new. So it doesn't matter who your guru is. You'll find out that selling is important, and so you shouldn't be afraid or ashamed of selling. Now, another thing that you need to get your mind right when it comes to selling and why you shouldn't be afraid of selling is this. Your product is valuable, so don't be scared. We've already done another, one of the 3 episodes that I referred to at the top of the show will deal with this exactly, about how you should only sell things that you trust and that you believe in. So if you don't think your product is useful, if you don't think it's valuable, then get out and stop wasting your time. Because if you don't have faith in it, you're going to be there, you're going to fidget, you're not going to be convincing, you'll waste your time and you'll waste the other person's time, the customer's time. So if you don't think it's valuable, then get out. Now, finally, the main thing that we need to get our mind right is this. If you don't take their money, that's the customer who is in front of you, somebody else will. Because the problem that your prospect, your customer, your potential client is facing is valid. This person, this man or woman has genuine needs. They have genuine concerns. They have genuine aspirations. They have genuine whatever it is that you want to call it. There is a gap, and that gap has to be met by someone or fulfilled by something. Oh, sorry about that. Timer. Okay, almost 10 minutes. So let me bring this to a close. So, if you don't meet these aspirations, some other person will. If you don't offer your products or your service, someone else is going to come along and make the offer. And that person is going to be the beneficiary, and that person is going to collect the money. But I think you should, because you are better than that other guy or girl. Now, do you know how I know that you're better than them? It's because you are listening to this podcast, not only this podcast, because you listen to business and marketing podcasts in general. So it shows that you believe in ethical business practices and you are a nice guy or a nice girl. You're definitely better than the other person. So if somebody should take the money, it should be you. So sorry I've been gone for over a week. I'll try to make sure that it doesn't happen again in 2024. And I want to say a massive thanks to all of you who have been listening while I was missing in action. But don't worry, it was nothing tragic. I just didn't plan myself properly. So I overloaded the interviews. I was also trying out LinkedIn audio lives. The first one went great. The second one, I accidentally shut down the feed during the introduction, so that was a bit of a disaster. But I took time out to message all the people who signed up to attend, and it looks like people are forgiving me and they're looking forward to the next one. So I'll talk about more of those my adventures in the future and why we should be prepared whenever we're trying out new stuff. So thanks again for all of you who listened while I was gone, but I'm back and I'll try to make sure that we stay consistent for the rest of the year. So that's all for today, folks. Remember to connect with me on WhatsApp. The number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234. That's for those of you who are hitting me up outside the shores of Nigeria. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Tavishima Ayede. I'm the host of the show. Don't worry about the spelling. You can confirm that at my email address from the link where you're currently listening to this episode. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode where we will continue looking into how to diminish or get rid of our fear of selling.